Hi, it's RoseCrow. I'm sorry about the sound in the bag, but it's cold here in East Tennessee, so I do have the heater on. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time and hopefully keep this short because I'm not real good at that. But I did want to provide a little bit of background on me, on who I am, what my path has been like, and I will definitely be sharing this with my Patreon folks. I do have a Patreon page for the Temple of Mont Knoxville, and we have a new membership that has started called Priesthood of the Sacred Earth, where I teach the system of holistic magic that we use in the temple and also cover the topic of animistic witchcraft, although there will be some use of mythic deities in the content from time to time. Although my approach to working with mythic energies is probably a little bit different than most pagans. But what I wanted to share was just my background. Um, I met my teacher in 1987. At the time, he had been in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the Cicero branch, and he was also very interested in Wicca. And so that first year and a half, I actually went through the what we call the brick, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn by Israel Regardie. I went through all the work up till Portal, learned everything up till Portal under his guidance. But we also were practicing witches. We celebrated the Wheel of the Year for 2 years straight. That was to help me learn about that particular calendar, which even witches use, whether they're Wiccan or not, because ultimately it's an agrarian calendar. It represents how the ancient people honored their relationship with the land, and of course it varied by culture and stuff. We explored Nordic paths and Celtic paths, um, and so I basically started out teething on ceremonial magic and witchcraft at the same time. And for the longest time, I stayed really focused on ceremonial magic. I have been a student of Kabbalah since day one. Um, by the 90s, I was teaching it on a regular basis. I am still absolutely in love with the Tree of Life, even though I'm an animistic witch and I don't embrace any theology. But the tree is such a universal system, and as Dion Fortune referred to it, it's kind of that filing cabinet of spiritual concepts. And ultimately, the tree of life represents the spiritual body. So it is wonderful for organizing our spiritual thoughts and our practice. So I still, to this day, work with the tree of life, although I've left much of my ceremonial magic practice behind in the sense that I no longer follow the dualistic philosophies that are present in the hermetic and alchemical systems. And that's why in 2000 I started my own temple devoted to holistic magic. I have taught extensively on tarot as well, on Egyptian mysteries, on Kemetic practice. I've run 3 ceremonial temples myself with um, original ritual liturgy. I have written more Sabbath celebrations than I can count and love to write ritual. I met Chick Cicero once and um, we bonded on the concept of being ritual junkies. I love ritual. I will always love ritual. But as a witch, too, and as someone who's always wanted to connect to the elemental energies, I've always had a bit of an ecstatic practice in with that, too. And nature has been always been my guide. So it's a mixing and a mingling that I practice now. My system of magic focuses on holism. It removes a lot of the dualistic concepts that we find in most Gnostic magic, where the heavens are and the celestial realms are considered sacred and the earth is considered mundane. In holistic magic, it's all sacred. The elementals, whether you want to call them Gob, Peralta, Nixa, and Jinn, or you have other names for them by your tradition, they're just as sacred to me as working with the angelic energies, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, Michael. And when I committed to a practice of holistic magic, it really changed my relationship with myself. I started, when you start embracing that the earth is sacred, it makes it easier for you to embrace that you are sacred. I was raised Southern Baptist, so a lot of this has been deconstruction. So my path now is a lot about deconstruction. It's taking that good and evil binary and removing it from places it doesn't belong. Good and evil does not belong as an overlay to masculine and feminine. Good and evil does not belong as an overlay to left and right, you know? So a lot of this is based in deconstruction, and I think the witchcraft path has always rooted me and held me into the arms of the earth, recognizing how sacred that experience is. So still quite a bit of ceremonial style, but with the caveat that we are not applying good and evil where it doesn't belong. And as well to be more inclusive and accepting of the spectrum of life. We do a lot of alchemical practice type material, but we also do it with the understanding that masculine and feminine is just one duality, it's just one polarity. There's a huge spectrum in between just masculine and feminine. In Temple of Knoxville, we use the terms essence and presence. Essence for the animating masculine force, presence for the embodying presence. Right? So updating the nomenclature to make it more inclusive, to make it not so focused on some kind of gender polarity, but going deeper, because ultimately it's about our active nature and our receptive nature. It's about ebb and flow, yin and yang, if you like. So that's a little bit about me. I've been on this path. My first initiation was in 1989. My teacher was in the lineage of William Gray, and he gave me a stylized middle pillar style initiation. By that time, I'd also been doing the middle pillar for a year and a half. And his teacher was actually Tony Angelo. Tony Delgado, who was a student of William Gray in Brazil. So I always loved William Gray's work, and if you check William Gray's work out, it's very holistic by nature. It is really good at balancing the gender binary as well. And then, of course, I was also a member of a formal Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn Temple up to Theodoricus. And then my teacher started a renegade temple, but it was actually under the auspices of one of the leadership in California, and I'm not going to go into any more detail than that. But I went up to Portal there, and then just realized that the Gnostic duality wasn't going to work for me anymore. I needed something holistic, and that's when I made that commitment in 2000. And it was actually a dream my teacher had too, but unfortunately he passed away of cancer in 2000. So I've done a little bit of everything. I've studied so many different paths. I'm excited to be doing this Patreon, but I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my experience. I don't care about lineages. I don't care about this particular initiation or that particular initiation. What I care about is the person who I'm dealing with and the person I am. And inner transformations are usually apparent without the need for a piece of paper saying you've got this lineage. I think they're great. I think they mean different things to different people, but for me, it's not been that big of a deal. So anyway, I'm RoseCrow, run the Temple of Knoxville. Hope you check out the Patreon. And if you made it this far, I even appreciate that even more. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.